It's Gorman in the Morning with Fletcher and Ryder. Now, 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the Morning.
We're here.
We are here.
Good.
Hit the right button, Steve, on Minnesota's 92 KQRS, along with Fletcher.
Oh my God, it's Wednesday.
It sure is Wednesday.
We'll call it Hump
Ryder
Day.
is on the dais, as I like to
I'm
call
here
it.
live. I'm not a cat.
Well, it's good to know.
Okay, that's
very
that's
important
great.
to know.
I'd be scratching my eyes if you were a cat.
This is really
Super allergic.
super allergic.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolute. Like, I've developed and don't take this the wrong way because I'm an animal lover.
Yeah.
But I've grown to hate cats just because of how they affect
I understand. Well, don't take this the wrong way. I'm never inviting you over to my home.
me. Son of a.
But I'm doing that for your own best interest.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
ditto.
it.
Garage invite only for you, man.
Man. And whereas I am actually allergic to tortoises, which is why Ryder's never invited me to her home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could come hang in your driveway, just have the windows open.
We can make it happen.
Yeah.
We can make it happen. It is Wednesday. It is April the 16th, and we're feeling Minnesota, which is my way of saying, what the hell's happening in the world, sir?
Well, I'll tell you what, from the very first puck drop here in the state of hockey, it's been the Xcel Energy Center. And over time, it's just been normal to say, hey, you going to the X?
Yeah.
After 25 years, though, it will no longer be Xcel Energy Center. The naming rights agreement will end this summer. Xcel and the Wild will still work closely together to help grow the sport, provide grants to youth and high school organizations, which I love. But the naming rights is gone. It's not going to be the Xcel Energy Center anymore. It's going to be weird.
I'll tell you what's going to be weird is when it's the Gorman in the Morning. No, wait. Actually,
Are you breaking news right now?
I looked it
That's not
up, and
gonna
it's
be
just a
weird.
little too much. It's just they want a little more money than this show's able to pay.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Dang it, I was hopeful that was going to happen. That was part of the deal.
Let's get some local interest. I mean, can we name it the spam something? The spam tin, the spam can.
Oh, the spam
The
can.
spam
There you
can.
go.
I
Get
like
spam
that.
in there. Get spam involved.
For us old hockey fans, we could find. There's got to be somebody with Met in their name, and we call it the Met Center.
We could probably do
How
that.
great would that be? Anyway,
I call it the Met sweater.
or the
Sure.
Kicking it old school sweater.
could be that. I like that. We could call it the pig liver arena. The USDA has approved the first clinical trial to test whether gene-edited pig livers can temporarily support people with sudden liver failure who are ineligible for human organ transplants. Instead of receiving a new liver, the patients will be connected to an external device that filters their blood through a pig liver for 72 hours, giving their liver hopefully time to recover and hopefully regenerate. There's something gross just about pig liver, just those two words together. It's just gross.
Not when you need one, though.
Yeah.
No, but if it saves your life, it'd be great.
Sure.
Yeah,
Did
that's...
they give people pig hearts at some point, or maybe used a valve or something like that?
Yeah, they absolutely did. There was a very famous case in the 80s of the baboon heart. They gave a little girl,
right.
baby Faye,
Yeah.
was
right.
lived with a baboon heart for a brief period of time. I, at the time, was playing in a band with some friends in college, a cover band. We changed our name for every gig. Bad way to grow a following. And one we did perform once as Baby Faye and the Heartless Baboons. So
yes.
so
I love that band name.
there's a chair in hell waiting for all of us for that one.
Very topical.
Yeah, very topical.
I think I was born with a pig's brain. Not dropping below freezing. Warmer temps in Minnesota, though, also mean the return of mosquitoes, right? Mm-hmm. However, we have our own form of Batman protecting us from above. The big brown bat. They don't migrate. We have 9 different bats that live in Minnesota.
All right.
Most of them migrate. These don't. They stick out winters just like we do, and that makes them hungry. They're quite hardy. They consume their body weight in insects, mostly mosquitoes, every night. That's approximately 1,500 mosquitoes gone thanks to the brown bat. So know that not all creatures flying above you are birds, and they might gross you out, but they've also got your back.
1,500 a night.
Yeah.
Think
Man,
about that.
Strong effort.
Thank
Big
you, brown bats. Yeah.
That was the first thing my neighbor said to me last night. We were hanging out, having beers and such, and she said, bats are out. The mosquitoes are coming.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's the telltale
It is
signs.
the time.
What's funny, one funny quirky thing about their name, the big brown bat, they're like 4 inches.
Oh, I know they're tiny.
Yeah, but they're the big brown bat.
Hey, I'm happy to have them here.
Yeah, me too.
There's really only one story in the world of sport that we need to get into, and that is last night. Okay, yes, the Wild won in overtime. Yes, they scored a couple of bangers. You know what? How about the first? Joel Eriksson Ek decided, There's about 20 seconds on the clock in regulation. Maybe I'll go ahead and tie the game up. The roof blew off the joint. It sounded like this.
Half a minute to go. Eriksson deflects it in. Around the board, Zuccarello intercepts, centers, Eriksson scores!
That's why they play all 60 minutes. That's why they play all 60 minutes. They go to OT, and yes, Boldy got an overtime winner, and that's great. But here is the story of the night. Into OT, and suddenly it's like, hey, is that Marc-Andre Fleury skating out there? Yes, Fleury, the old man, comes out to tend the net in overtime and has a couple of spectacular saves. And then, as I mentioned, with about 20 seconds left in the clock in OT, Boldy gets the winner. Fleury, probably the last time we're ever going to see him on the ice. There's a good chance of that.
Yeah, probably.
And it just... I have goosebumps right now just saying that. Watching him go out there to take on the OT, I would say I can't imagine what it felt like in the room. But, oh, my gosh, Paul, you were there.
I was.
And how was it?
It was, as you would imagine, it was, I wasn't even paying attention, and then I just heard kind of like a murmur, or whatever you want to call it. So you look towards the ice, and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I mean, but if you think about it, the Eriksson X goal got them what they needed, their point, they're in.
Yeah.
And so the coach, in a very classy move, the coaches said, hey, put the old man in. And you know what? He made actually like 5 saves, and a couple of them were spectacular. And sitting on the bench 2.5 hours. Oh, and by the way, didn't have a great season. To go in there cold in OT and be awesome, it was just the perfect story or way to end this story.
Hines said after the game, it was Gustafsson. He came over and said, hey, let's put the flower in. What do you think?
Was it really?
Yeah. How cool is that?
Oh, man.
I mean, more goosebumps. There you go. You're welcome.
Here's the thing about this team, and I don't have any idea what they're going to do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they are so tight-knit, and I think a lot of that is because of the flower. I think he just is such a presence.
Yep.
We've been lucky. I don't like putting athletes on pedestals like that, but we truly have been lucky to have him and watch him finish his career and see what a wonderful human he is.
Fantastic.
It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
Last night was goosebumps. You're right.
They are in the postseason, and as we all know,
Vegas.
Anything can happen.
Vegas Golden Knights. That's
not a bad hockey club.
No, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. All right, there's your feeling Minnesota for right now. How about this?
Okay.
Let's feel Wisconsin for a sec.
What?
Somerset, Wisconsin. How you doing over there, Somerset? Glad to have you with us.
Been to some pretty cool shows at Somerset.
Yeah, man.
There was a mud fest in the mid-'90s that was outstanding.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I've had a few over there. I've played a few. I've been to a few. It's a nice little...
It was a good spot, for sure.
It was a very good spot.
Yeah.
Back in the day. It's so funny to think about things. I was about to say, man, we played there, and immediately in my head, I'm like, oh wait, that was 30 years ago. The thought I just had, not a few years back. Oh, 30 years ago. Okay, never mind.
It's astonishing to me that you think that these memories that we had that were so strong are that long ago. Yeah.
It absolutely is. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame down there in old Cleveland way. The fan vote wrapping up this week. Let's take a look. Let's see what the fans are saying about this.
Have you overtaken Chubby Checker yet?
I don't think it's possible.
Okay.
I just don't think it's possible.
I don't. It doesn't give me any joy to say this out loud. I think the gap actually got bigger.
I'm sure it did. Hey, man, you can't.
Dude.
The twist is the twist, man. It speaks for itself. As we just mentioned, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, later this month, they will announce the class of 2025, the inductees.
Nice.
We'll get that information. Right now, the fan vote, over 2,300,000 votes have come in for the 14 artists listed. Fish still just maintaining a lap lead over everybody with 310,000 votes. The second artist on this list, and I'm surprised to see this, not because I don't think they're worthy at all, but Bad Company in a strong number 2 position.
I mean, a lot of people have been salty about the No Bad Company in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing for quite a while.
Right. I'm just happy to know that many Bad Company fans are getting online and casting the vote.
Yes.
You know, it's we're not talking about a bunch of little kids out there.
No.
Yeah,
they're super passionate about the Bad Company and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing.
100%. I'm quite honestly baffled by it. That's one of the artists of the last few years, to me, that sitting that high, that surprises me probably the most.
Billy Idol, Cyndi Lauper, Soundgarden, Joe Cocker, and your friend and mine, Ryder, Chubby Checker, sitting in the 7th spot right now. That's the top 7. That if you went with the fan vote, that's who would be going in. Chubby Checker, The Twist, and then The Twist again, and then 50, 60 years of sitting around going, you guys remember me from The Twist?
I just did a little follow-up on him. He's still doing shows, I think, mostly in the Northeast, and surprisingly skinny.
Well, good for him.
Wow. Well,
when you carry that name around for 65 years, you're gonna work in a salad eventually. You're gonna go, you know what? Enough of the carbs. The Black Crowes, Mariah Carey, Joy Division, New Order, White Stripes, Outkast, Oasis, and Mana rounding it out. I'm surprised that Oasis is so far down on the list.
Yeah, that surprises me.
It just
too.
tells me that mostly Americans are clearly voting here, because if this were the rest of the world, if the rest of the world cared as much as Americans do, this is such an American institution.
For
sure. As well it should be, as we are the purveyors of rock and roll. We invented it. But that said, it's just shocking. That's surprising to me that they're so low on the list.
Isn't it just the kind of thing that those guys hate, though? Like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff. So I almost feel like their fans would be voting against them to go in as a favor to the band.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. She took the words right out of my mouth.
If I will say, though, if they come in, if they, off the heels of this tour they're doing this summer and fall, which is just going to be stadiums all over the world, it's something 40 to 50 shows, every one of them sold out instantly.
Right.
They could double up the whole thing and sell out all those shows. They could sell out stadiums in the UK they could do it every summer.
Yeah.
Just go do 20 stadiums and they'd all sell out. If they come in on the heels, if they do get inducted and show up at the induction ceremony coming in hot off that tour, that is whether they care about it or not, that's just going to be one of those, nice apex moment for those lads.
For sure.
That'd be pretty impressive. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The White Stripes is the only other one I want to mention. They're way down in the middle of the pack. That is critical darling, but clearly not capturing the imagination of the average rock fan out there.
But critics help decide who goes into the hall, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So.
There's 12 or 1,300 official votes or whatever, and a lot of those are music writers. A lot of people in media have votes to get in. So and every year there's always a few things on the fan ballot that don't check out at all with the induction list, and I think the White Stripes are going to be one of those. I'd be surprised if they're kept out again. They didn't make it last year. They were reportedly last year they were just on the outside looking in. So I imagine they'll get in this time.
Is it too early? Is it maybe a little early in their eligibility?
No, because they're not coming back. They're never gonna. They're absolutely over.
Yeah,
and they're getting in not so much for what they did, but for what they inspired and for the doors they opened, not just for themselves, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
If not for them, we wouldn't have had a string of bands with "the" at the beginning of their name.
That's fair. The Stroke, the Hives.
There were so many at that time, though, in the mid-2000s. It was almost every band was the something. It was crazy.
That band, there was a band called The, and I was
a
always
very long time ago.
Always so jealous. See, they just knew it. Like, yeah, we'll just take it. No one else can get it. You ever install something in your house? You ever come up with a new thing in the house, like a special new anything, gadget, a steam shower, or a different type of, and it just turned out to suck? Ever have any one of those experiences? What's the worst thing you ever stuck in your house? Somebody's like, "Oh, you've got to get one of these," and then you went ahead and did it, and you were like, "That kind of sucked." Or conversely, maybe something you thought would be a pain and actually turned out to be fantastic. Let's talk about the ups and downs of home improvement. 651-989-ROCK. If you've got one for us, feel free to share the thing you shouldn't have or should have installed in your house. I only got one that just jumps out. There's two, but the one that always is like front of mind. We rebuilt a house 20 years ago, and so we're making it pretty nice. Our original plan was we got a place and we were going to try to flip it, and then it got to be where we're like, well, let's just move in there ourselves. Like, let's treat ourselves, because we put some nice upgrades. You're out there trying to do your thing. And I just got it in my head that, you know what? I'm going to put a steam shower in this bad boy.
Okay.
I'm going to put a steam shower in there, and I'm going to take steams, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be great. And one of my brothers said, don't do that. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I did it. And then I called him after about 3 months, and I went, why did I do this? And he said, I tried to tell you. You got to clean that bad boy every time you use it.
What happens if you don't clean it?
Mold. Mold like you don't know. And the seal doesn't last very long. The seals are all going to give eventually. We used it a handful of times because in my mind, I imagine myself like I'll take a steam probably once a day,
right,
or once a month, and then after about 6 months, I don't think I ever turned it on again. It was just like I was like I just don't want to have to clean it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to then clean it and leave it open and make sure there's no mold. And it was just a colossal waste of everything.
Yeah.
Looked great. And when we sold that house, the guy that bought it was like, I love that steam shower. And I was like, okay,
you're going to love it, man. You're going to love the steam shower.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We did one. I did one. I would just chalk it up. It wasn't so much a regret. It was just more of a lesson learned in being a new homeowner. Mm-hmm. Painting over paint.
Okay.
You don't want to paint over paint. You want to, you know what I mean? Like you want to clean that stuff off, strip it the best that you can before you just, especially, we did a dark color. We did a lighter color over a dark color.
Oh, yeah, that's impossible. You got to do the primer.
We also did, I guess I should say that. It's not like you strip the paint off. I didn't mean that. But you do the primer.
Sure.
And then you paint. Yeah. We just did paint over paint and just trying to be, do it easier and quicker and faster. And, oh, my, I mean, we did like 3 coats. And you could still see.
Of course, yeah.
Oh my God! It was just, and then you of course have to go and do it all over again.
And then you never get the color you're looking for because it won't allow itself to flourish. You're like, look at that. It looks great in the can, and why doesn't it look like that on the wall? Ryder.
I'm pre-regretting this hot tub that my husband really wants to get.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it's going to be so much work. And he's doing the same thing you're doing with the steam shower. He's like, I'm going to use this every day, 365 days a year. I'm like, are you?
That was number 2, the tub with the jets thing.
Biggest waste.
Yeah.
He wants like the outdoor hot tub.
Oh, the outdoor hot tub.
Yes.
That's different. Yeah.
Still a lot of work. You're still worried about the keeping it clean, doing it this, that. The outdoor hot tub is the outdoor hot tub. To me, it's like I only think about that would be cool when it's really, really, really cold, and I just think about it. But like for the most of the year, you're not going to use that thing. It's just a bug
I'm
trap.
not. He insists that he will.
Okay. Well, you know what? I look forward to checking back in on a quarterly basis. To see how many times he's actually dropped his ass into that hot tub. 651-989-ROCK. Any regrets or any pleasant surprises on things you added to your house? Got a few texts already. One from Ryder's dad. Look at Jim spreading the love. Did you see what he wrote?
That he's such a sap. Like he's done so much work on the house I grew up in. He finished the basement. Like it looks gorgeous. Like hail came through. He put new windows in the kitchen. Like knocked out walls and junk like that. He's done such cool stuff.
But what he wrote was, I installed kids in my house. Best thing ever.
Oh boy.
Oh, come on.
Boy.
It's Gorman in the Morning with Fletcher and Ryder, 92 KQRS.
Pearl Jam from the debut album. Who's drumming on that? Who?
Dave Cruzen, I believe.
Cruzen, right. That's the guy's name. Just played on the record, but didn't tour.
Correct. That was Dave Aberzies for a minute.
That's exactly right.
For a while, actually.
They were Spinal Tap. They had a lot of drummers coming through. Thankfully, none of them spontaneously combusted on stage, as far as I know.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of them did. Right. The Jack, the dude that was with the Chili Peppers.
Yeah, Jack Irons.
That's the saddest one, I think, probably of them all, because he just kind of had not necessarily a nervous breakdown, but just dealt with crippling depression and whatnot, and just couldn't handle the road. And they loved him so much.
The road is not for everyone.
But then they run into Matt Cameron, who can play just about everything under the sun. So it works out with the way they tour.
Matt Cameron.
Pretty good.
When Pearl Jam went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, did Matt Cameron go in as a member of Pearl Jam?
I believe he did.
Wow, interesting. Because if Soundgarden gets in, he'll be in there twice. Good for him. Hell of a guy. Really nice fella. And to your point, a badass mofo on the drum kit. Talking about things we added to our homes. We put a steam shower in a house, and it was just a complete waste of money. But like I did say, the guy that bought the house from us eventually was like really thrilled with it. But we did not. He thought it was going to be awesome, and I, of course, told my realtor, just tell him it's amazing.
Right. You know what? I saw a list of like Board Panda or something like that as a list of things that people have done that they've regretted. And it reminded me of one in the house we were just in prior to this. I don't know how I could have forgotten this, but just tile in a shower, cleaning the grouts.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're talking like, it's pretty much bleach and a toothbrush. I mean, that was the only way I found to get it clean. Those are don't do that. I mean, they look great. It looks fantastic, but man, what a pain in the butt to upkeep.
651-989-ROCK is the KQ talk and text line. Several people have chimed in now. Oh, well, here's one. I regret installing in my house my wife. Okay, well, sorry about that.
Jeez.
Tubby wrote, here's a dumb gadget, although this is a bit of a, but I God bless Tubby. Anything he says, I'm always going to share.
Yeah.
We had an in-ground pool, and to make it more enjoyable, my dad got a giant strap-on over-the-shoulder bug fogger. What? We'd be in the pool, and he'd arrive and spray gusts of smelly, thick bug fog all over that would make you run for your life. Yeah, that's a gadget that I can see a dad thinking a bug fogger is the solution to a lot of problems.
Whatever. I hate the bugs. Bring on the fog. Bring on
whatever
the
it
poisons.
takes.
I don't care.
No, just bring in the brown bats and the possums. They'll take care of all those
100%
things.
100% they will.
Throw it in the pool with me.
Look at this picture. So the shower fridge, Ryder, let's discuss.
Oh, man. So I met this dude, Fat Daddy, when we were out and about one time, and he's like, Ryder, I have a shower fridge for my shower beers, like in the shower. And I've had a shower beer. It's wonderful after a workout or like you're outside and it's like super humid, very crisp. So I figured that he just had like a fridge in the bathroom, like within reaching distance of the shower. No, full on installed in the wall.
Very impressive.
Yeah, that photo is pretty awesome.
Oh, man.
Not only is it installed in the wall, in the tile, a legitimate refrigerator, it says on the glass door, shower beer.
Yes.
That is strong right there.
Nothing else goes in there.
Just to avoid confusion.
Is it etched in the glass, shower beer? Looks like it is. It's awesome.
I've enjoyed a beer in the shower before. When you're pressed for time, you're going to take a shower and you got to hit the road and you want to just, you just want to get into the mood? Sure, I can see that. I did have a roommate once who I cracked the door to the bathroom. We had 4 guys in a house with 1 bathroom. His mom called, and I opened the door. I said, Clint, your mom's on the phone. And he peeled back the shower curtain with a cigarette in his mouth and said, what now? I said, your mom's on the phone. He goes, okay, thanks. And I thought, now smoking in the shower is a whole nother level.
Yes.
Lung dart, fully lit in the shower. And when he peeled the curtain back, I mean, it's just dangling from his lips. Say what? I couldn't hear you. And I'm like, man, that's a man who's very committed to a Marlboro Red right there.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It was a Camel. Silly me. It was a Camel.
That's a terrible mistake.
I thought that was a beer in the fridge. I get. By the time you're smoking in the fridge, you might want to have a chat with somebody about that. just a thought.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of trouble for not a lot of payoff. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
I don't have the addiction, so I guess I can't say.
As long as you're not dipping in the shower, I'd rather. Come on, man. I mean,
that just turned the stomach.
We see so few times are you around smokers anymore, like in public.
Right.
You can smell one cigarette 100 yards away now, which of course we all grew up never even noticing cigarette smoke.
That's nuts. You're right.
But I still, when I see the cup of the dip juice left behind somewhere, I'm like, I'd rather smell smoke. I'd rather my clothes smell like smoke than possibly knock over that cup. Because once you've knocked over a cup of someone else's dip juice, you don't really forget. These are problematic times. Feeling Minnesota. We got some headlines to get into.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the morning is back. 92 KQRS.
It's straight up about 7 o'clock on a Wednesday in mid-April, and we are feeling Minnesota. Paul, what's happening?
All righty. Nope, that's the wrong bit. Sorry. More than 40 bars and restaurants across Minnesota, including well-known spots in the Twin Cities metro area, are now banned from receiving liquor shipments after failing to pay or file taxes.
Really?
The Minnesota Department of Revenue's April 15 liquor posting, that's in quotes, list identifies businesses that are more than 10 days late on their tax obligations.
Wow.
Under state law, wholesalers, brewers, and distributors are prohibited from selling or delivering alcohol to any business on the list starting this Friday.
Oh.
Notables are, is it Bonchin? Is that how you say it? Dickeytown?
I don't know that one.
Bonchin and O'Donovan's Irish Pub. That's probably the biggest one. And there are, like I said, 38 others, but those are the notables.
Fellas, get the tax bill settled.
Not a good weekend.
God.
I mean, I have a couple days. Maybe order a bunch.
Let's get something going on over there.
Jury selection started yesterday in the sex crimes retrial of the disgusting human that is Harvey Weinstein in New York City. A different jury convicted Weinstein in 2020, but the conviction was overturned because of the way witnesses were handled. Semantics. In the retrial, Weinstein is facing 1 count of rape and 2 counts of criminal sexual acts connected to alleged incidents involving an actress in a hotel room, etc., etc. No jurors were selected yesterday, so it goes on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yikes. Speaking of yikes, this is crazy. Remember the movie Wild Things?
Vaguely.
1998.
Yeah.
Nev Campbell.
Bacon?
Yes. Kevin Bacon?
Yeah. Nev Campbell and the other, a couple girls, Kevin
Denise.
Bacon, there's Denise Richards.
Richards, yes.
I remember it.
In a recent interview, Kevin Bacon said a dead body was discovered during the making of the film. He said, quote, "We were out in the swamp one night shooting some scene where they floated a raft out on the water to create some light, to put some light on it.
All right.
And, quote, all of a sudden I hear across the walkie-talkie, hey, I think I just saw a floater, and it was a body floating by." He said it was sort of indicative of the whole vibe of the movie.
Oh,
That would creep me out. I
wonder what the key grip union protocol is when a
When you
floater
find a
comes through your
body?
got set.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I just got a tingle down my spine. That's just, he's right, though. Indicative of the whole mood of that movie, right? Hey, remember the great toilet paper shortage of 2020?
I do.
Everybody does, I think. Ryder,
Yeah.
you remember, yeah?
I do. Yeah.
Well, now they say we're experiencing a shortage of cousins.
Wow, that's a leap.
Actual cousins. The idea is that millennial parents are not having as many kids as they were around growing up.
Okay.
There's actual data on declining birth rates, but the idea is apparently going viral because of course, a TikToker, where a female millennial talks about the issue. She says that when she and everyone she knows was growing up, there were countless cousins around. Same for me, same for you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now their kids have 2 cousins on one side, maybe 3 on the other, and it's just so different.
Wow. That's a bummer. Cousins are great. What's the line? Cousins are siblings without the baggage.
Right.
It's awesome. You see them a couple, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, and there's not enough common ground to argue. You just are happy to see each other.
You jump on big wheels.
Then they jump in the car and go back to Detroit, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, you jump on big wheels, terrorize the neighborhood for a minute, take some dumb pictures, etc., and then you move on with your life. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cousins. I'm the youngest of 8, and my siblings. I have 2 kids. There's a lot of 2 kids. My brothers and sisters all had a lot of kids, and my wife is the youngest of 7, and so her siblings have all had kids. So our kids have a ton of cousins on both sides, and then I have nephews and nieces who have their own kids. I'm not a grandfather yet, but I have a lot of great nephews and nieces. And the numbers are still pretty strong on the Gorman side of things. I've got another dozen. I've got at least 12 nephews and nieces who have. I've got great nephew, great niece, whatever. I have nephews and nieces who've had enough kids. There's over a dozen of that next generation that all have. So my kids have a ton of cousins, and there's cousins that have had kids. They all still. What I'm saying is the Gormans are still reproducing.
Is the anomaly though?
Yeah.
Like most of my friends my age have like a kid, and then a lot of their siblings are not having kids. So then you have these kids that are like 11 with no cousins that are kind of bummed.
Who's
going to teach them how to smoke pot and about all the cool music?
Of course, that's exactly what cousins are for.
Yeah.
It's now that you say that, I did have a couple friends as kids that didn't have any cousins. I'm like just realizing like, oh my gosh, they don't have any cousins. That is a strange thing. Yeah, that is an odd one. That's just an unexpected bummer.
FOMO.
Yeah, that was some of my best memories. My dad's had a family like yours, 10 kids, and so there were 20-something cousins. It's crazy. We had a ton of fun around the holidays and etc.
All I knew is this: when we were with our cousins, either at our house or their house, we never got in trouble. My dad took off my dad took off the Marine hat and acted like a cool guy because he didn't want to, didn't want to look like that guy in front of the family.
Yes.
No. So I was loving having the cousins come.
Can we stay for another couple of days.
Exactly how that was. Let's talk about some sports. There's really only one story worth talking about today, and it is not the fact that the Wild are in the postseason. That's great news, and we're very excited about it. Mm-hmm. The coolest part of last night's game, which they did win in overtime, Matt Boldy with an overtime winner. Eriksson Ek scored with 20 seconds left in regulation in the third to tie the game, and then with about 20 seconds left in OT, Matt Boldy did this.
Johansson in for Minnesota. Back to Boldy. He scores!
So right on. Way to go. You get the win. But by just getting to OT, they'd already clinched a playoff berth, right?
Yeah, huge celebration when they got to OT.
Here's the coolest thing. Philip Gustafson goes over to the bench, says to Coach Hines, hey, man, let's put Flower in.
Yeah.
So what the hell? We know we're going to the postseason.
Anymore.
And then here comes Marc-Andre Fleury to play the OT. Not only does he not give up a goal, he has a couple of really, really sweet saves. The Wild do end up with the win, and they are going into the postseason. Chances are that's the last time we'll see Fleury on the ice. But what an awesome thing and what an unexpected surprise. Paul, you were there. I got to think when everybody picked up on the fact that Fleury was standing out there for the OT. It was a lot of warmth and good vibes in the building.
It was, the place went bonkers, as you can imagine. It was a goosebump moment for sure, thinking that this could be the last time we see him play at home, depending on how the playoffs go. I mean, it's likely that he won't see the ice. And just this team, though, it's just ridiculous with the way I think they've won 5 games of their last 8 in OT.
Yeah.
Just showing, I mean, let's not let it always get to that point, but it also shows their resilience.
Sure.
Now they're getting healthy. But yes, you're right. Andre Fleury, it was just a magical moment. I don't want to overdo it, but it was a special time with a really special human that happens to be a hockey player.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
Great stuff. Inver Grove Heights. Glad to have you with us this morning. Inver Grove Heights, as I like to call it. There's a lot of extra fees. When you get that restaurant check, even at a bar, you got to check. You got to look at the detailed bill because you don't want them sliding extra stuff on there. It happens sometimes. Sometimes there's a corkage fee. If you bring your own dessert, there's a cut the cake fee.
Yeah.
Of course, sometimes you have the whining fee. Too much whining, we're gonna bust you for that. Went out for lunch yesterday with Rosemary. Found a little joint in St. Paul. Had a great burger and a beer, and it was just a really nice, unexpected. Just walked into a place, just drove by it and went, "Hey, let's go in there," and it was awesome.
We did the same thing.
Do you want to tell us what place it is? Are you trying to keep it,
No. I'm happy to. It's called the Local Rumor. It was a great little spot in St. Paul. And walked in, and we both ordered a little food. He both had a beer. I got the bill, and it was just exactly what we ordered. There was nothing extra on the bill.
That's weird.
And I do look at the bill because I've had enough experiences where you're like, what does that charge? What does this mean? And I've looked down and especially with a group dinner, if you say it's all on one check, they will add all kinds of extra crap in there. It's just a thing that happens. So yesterday, anyway, happy to see there was just 2 beers and two orders of food, and it was all good. What I didn't see was a bitching fee.
Is it because you didn't do enough bitching?
I guess not. A customer at a restaurant in Indiana got their check, and because they clarified something with their waiter, which was to say this, hey, you brought me the wrong beer. And the waiter said, I did. He goes, yeah, this is not what I ordered. The waiter then brought the right beer and then added a $5 quote, bitching fee to the check.
It seems reasonable to want the beer that you ordered.
I think that's reasonable. It's a reasonable ask.
I'm not being out on a limb here. Okay.
I like the fact that they went straight up and just called it what it was.
Yes. I would like to hear the server side of this, which I'm sure the internet will find in a few days.
Yeah, of course. I would imagine. $5 fee for just getting, for insisting that you get what you ordered.
There has to be more to this, right? I mean,
I hope so.
Actually,
I hope not. No. I just like the idea that they were like, let's see if we can slide this one past this guy.
How wrong does your food have to be before you send it back?
I don't generally send food back.
I'll send if it's the wrong order. If it's not what I ordered, that's a no-brainer. If it's
sure.
Occasionally, even if it's like the wrong side, I'll be like, hey, I this is not it. I was gonna say if it's undercooked, but I get steak so rarely that it's I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last time I had something. I think I've had things where I'm like, hey, this isn't heated all the way through. Like you're just at some restaurant, and you order something like a pot pie, and it's like you can tell they just had it in the fridge and didn't really heat it all the way through or something.
Yuck.
I'll do something like that. But it's been a while. I do know this. My children would rather eat their own foot than send a meal back.
Oh, same.
My kids,
I don't.
Their whole generation, it's like they get a little weird if we're just chatty with the waiter or waitress. They're like, "What are you doing?" Like, we're just talking. It's like we're having an interesting conversation. They're like, "Just why?" I'm like, "What do you mean why?"
They're
it's
a
human interaction.
That's a human. Yeah, that's what we do.
But then, yeah, if they sit down, if they don't like their food, I'm like, send it back, get something else. They look at me like I just called someone's mom a bad name.
I largely agree with you, but I do find it weird sending stuff back. Like my wife and I actually went and grabbed lunch yesterday too, and I also had a burger. Asked if I wanted pink or no pink. I said I want pink. Didn't get it.
Okay,
and it's just like whatever. You just eat it. It's like it's fine. It tastes fine. It's not exactly the way I wanted it, but it tastes fine. So whatever. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Uncook it? That's not how that works.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Well,
they might give me a bitching fee,
I normally don't want to wait for them to have to remake a whole thing. By the time your food gets there, you're like, just give me the food.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But no, if it's totally wrong, I'm more than happy to say, this is not what I looked for. But it's true. I've looked at checks and seen things that weren't ordered. It's like you get, especially again, if you have 6 or 7 or 8 people and you say just put it all on one check, that's just a license to add an extra dish or an extra side dish here or
10
there.
desserts. Who cares?
Of course.
Percentage of times that it is a honest mistake and thrown in there because they think they can sneak it by you.
90-10. 90-10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 10% of the time someone messed up, and 90% of the time they're just looking for the extra cash. That's how I see that one going.
All right.
You ever walk into a certain store or it could be a restaurant? No, store. Let's just call it a bookstore. Let's just say you walk into a bookstore, and you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to spend a little time in the book. I got to go to the bathroom. I think, oh my God, I've got to go to the bathroom. Then you may be suffering from something called the Mariko Aoki phenomenon. I'm not making that up.
Nope.
Let's discuss the fact that certain people have certain reactions to bookstores.
My 12-year-old has.
651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and text line. Curious if this has ever happened to you. Ever walk into a bookstore, you're all excited, you're like, man, I'm just going to spend a little time, get off my phone. Throwback moment for me. Every time I walk into a bookstore, I have a little buzz of excitement because I just love to look at books. It's like a record store. Yes. Whether I buy anything or not, just flipping, looking, considering, reading a few pages, deciding what I want to do. Ever been in there and suddenly you go, where's the bathroom? I got to go. This is a phenomenon called the Mariko Aoki phenomenon. This was first identified in Japan in 1985. A woman named Mariko Aoki wrote into a magazine and shared the fact that every time she entered a bookstore, she was overtaken with an urge to poop.
Bookstores, though.
Bookstores.
Yeah.
And by the way, that letter was printed in the magazine, and then the following issue had many responses going, me too.
Really?
Me too.
Wow.
And it's become a well-known but not fully developed and researched phenomenon. And scientists and doctors have some weird theories here. I'm curious if anybody relates to this. 651-989-ROCK. Is this something you've ever experienced yourself? You are raising your hand, Paul. Yes.
That's because I do have experience with this.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay.
But my 12-year-old.
Okay.
And the first time it happened, I went, okay, well, whatever.
You got to go.
But my wife is insisted, no, this is a thing. I'm like, I'm not buying it.
Seriously.
Well, then we, 6 months later, once was at Barnes & Noble, another time at Hobby Lobby.
Okay.
And I think we've had four experiences, and it's not been like she takes a trip off every time we go to Barnes & Noble. I double checked with my wife. Home Goods, Barnes & Noble, and Hobby Lobby. Every time we go to those, the 12-year-old has to go to the bathroom.
But those aren't all bookstores, so what's happening there?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can find is they say the smell of paper or ink having a laxative effect.
Okay.
Linking it to us reading while we're on the toilet.
All right.
It's the only thing. I don't know. All I know is that I scoffed at it at first and laughed at my wife, but now it's become so consistent. Every time we go, she has to go poop.
It's some good habits are hard to break. I think I've not experienced this in bookstores. I have. If I go into a mall, I am immediately exhausted. I will if I'm in a mall or a big store, like a big box store, not a box store. If I'm at Macy's or a Nordstrom's.
Sure, a department store.
Department, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. My wife knows all I'm looking for when I walk into one of those stores is a chair. My body literally runs out of steam if I have to be in a place like that. It's just a psychosomatic. It's just Pavlovian. It's whatever it is. But I cannot walk through stores. I just have to sit down, and I can close my eyes and fall right to sleep. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating.
We do 2 trips a year to the Mall of America for the kids, and I'm the same way. It seems like within a half hour of being there, I'm ready for a nap. I've experienced that as well.
Oh,
That's why they started to throw those massage chairs up everywhere in the mall.
Andy just texted in. Every time I go into a library, the urge hits like a ton of bricks. That would explode. There's books, ink. It could be the same kind of thing.
Well, and with my kiddo, the Hobby Lobby, tons. If it is a smell of ink or paper, like scientists are guessing, there's a ton of that there.
I guess there is.
So, although it's not usually the overwhelming smell when I walk into a Hobby Lobby.
Another text just came in. The poop urge happens to me all the time. Only it's when I'm looking at greeting cards. What is this about paper products?
Paper thing.
Wow.
All right. So weird.
Yeah, that is a little weird one. I just love that this has a name and it's a woman's. That's what you're known for.
Yeah. Hey, it's better than not being known at all.
I don't know. It's like there's Lou Gehrig's disease and there's Mariko Aoki phenomenon, which is
fair enough.
far more preferable. It's like I just got to drop a deuce at Barnes and Noble every now and again. Are there other places that you find yourself where you realize I should have taken care of this at home, but I can't because I can only do it here? Let's get into that.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Okay, we are discussing something they call the Mariko Aoki phenomenon. A Japanese woman in 1985 wrote into a magazine and said, I have this weird thing where every time I walk into a bookstore, I have to drop a deuce. She needs to poop. And in this conversation, boy, apparently this is way more common than I would have realized. A whole lot of text messages coming in. 651-989-ROCK. We've had more than one person say, the poop urge happens, but it's when I'm looking at greeting cards.
What?
Several greeting card texts.
Greeting cards?
Used to happen whenever I was looking at greeting cards. I thought it had to do with the walk. It was about a block to get there. But now here's this one. A text came in. My friend's husband, Scott, has to take a dump every time he goes to Menards.
Oh,
wow.
I'm so glad this doesn't happen to me.
Could be a fertilizer thing?
I guess so. Another one, the poop urge happens to me all the time when I'm looking at greeting cards. The greeting card thing is shocking.
I wonder if the greeting cards is just because they're so poorly written.
There it is. When I was remodeling a house, I would have a long list of things to get at Menards every Saturday. As soon as I got the carts loaded, the knock started, and off to the bathroom stall I went. What's going on? What's going on with Menards? 651-989-ROCK. Have we got someone on the horn, Ryder?
Diane is on the phone.
Diane, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you got for us?
I definitely have had this since I was a child. I would go down to our basement in our house and immediately have to go back upstairs. Immediately.
Okay.
This isn't like you go in and just have have to go to the bathroom. This is immediately.
Wow.
A lot of books in the basement?
Yeah, and now I've had it my whole life. Bookstores, absolutely. In particular, used bookstores.
Oh, we have to have a plan. Like, she has to run for the bathroom 10 minutes into the bookstore.
Wow.
Who's chiming in there?
What was that?
Who's chiming in with you, Diane?
That's my husband.
Okay.
Who's had to deal with this our whole marriage.
Wow.
And we have to have, a serious plan whenever.
And I'm a big thrift shopper, and I have to plan my thrift shop to always start at a thrift store that has the nicest bathroom.
Wow. This is fascinating to me.
Okay, Diane, I've got a question. So subsequent, once you get it out, you're done.
Done. Absolutely done.
Thrift shops down the road, you don't have to do it again.
Correct.
Okay, it's just the first one, you get it out of the way. I want to just thank you two both for being so brave to share this with us.
Where's your favorite bathroom, Diane?
Hey, I'm just trying to raise awareness for this affliction.
No, where's your favorite bathroom, though? That's a great question. Where's your favorite bathroom?
Goodwill thrift stores have the
Really?
nicest.
Wow.
Okay.
Good to know.
Right on. Thanks for the call, Diane. That is fascinating information.
Guys.
It's funny. I've never had an issue with using a public restroom of any sort. If I'm at a store or a restaurant, if you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah.
I've just never connected dots that it's at a certain time if it's in a certain store or if it's it doesn't happen often enough where I would have ever had to think about it. But I don't have a problem with using them. But I can't imagine that there's that moment when you realize, like I'm sure Diane did, of like, oh yeah, this is just what this is.
Yeah.
Nothing can be done about it.
I bet all of our radars are going to be up from now on, though. We're going to start tracking, you know what I mean?
Oh, heck
Where
yeah.
we're at and what happens.
Here's a text. What I want to know is if all you bookstore poopers are borrowing a book off the shelf for the session and then putting it back.
Can't bring merchandise into the bathroom.
That's usually why, I guess. Here's another one. I have to poop every time I go to Walmart. This is a thing.
This is so bizarre.
Man, that's crazy. My dad had some bathroom issues. He would come home from work to use the bathroom. He would drive across town.
I get that.
He was just like, not able to. And I remember as a kid, every now and again, like I would only be aware of that in the summer because I'm usually at school. But there'd be summer days sitting around. It'd be 10:30, 11 in the morning. We're watching Family Feud, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey guys," and we're like, "Hey, what's up, Dad?" I was just on my way to a meeting. Thought I'd run in real quick, and he'd run back to his bathroom. And at some point, it did hit us. We were all like, "He's got a weird bathroom thing happening here."
My
What's
wife does the same thing. My wife works a mile-ish away from home, and she'll be like, text me, heading home, got to go to the bathroom. Isn't there a perfectly good stall at work?
Hey, you know what? I feel, as someone who I said, I can go anywhere, anytime. I feel for someone that really has to, like,
100%,
can't do this.
Yeah. It's just, it is weird, though. I mean, we can say that.
Man, this is a guy, Luke from Roseville says, I've always had a fear of taking a dump in a public bathroom. That's unfortunate, man. Sometimes you're just going to have to do that.
Think of the stress that you go through if you're somebody like that, and then realize, you know what? This is happening. I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
This is happening in a public restroom, and yet you have that phobia or that hang up, so to speak.
I remember seeing Dave Grohl in an interview. The guy went in 2007, 8-ish, as Foo Fighters became like that next level band. They're doing stadiums around the world, and someone said, "Is there any drawback to becoming this famous?" Because he's, arguably the biggest rock star in the world. Pop stars might be more famous, but Dave has been the face of rock for a long time,
for sure.
And they said, "Is there a downside?" And he goes, "Yeah, only one." And the guy said, "What's that?" He goes, "I can't take a dump in a truck stop anymore." He's like, people are too aware. And I was like, yeah, that's a man right there who's keeping it real. All right, we're feeling Minnesota. Let's get to some headlines.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Good Wednesday morning. It is April the 16th. And before we get back into our favorite gal, Mariko Aoki. We're just getting started, apparently. We do have some headlines to get into. We call it Feeling Minnesota.
Yes, very
Paul,
much.
Please, brother.
Not much more has felt Minnesota over the last 25 years than going to the X. Well, in fact, from the very first puck drop. But the Xcel Energy Center will be no more. Come this summer, the naming rights agreement will end. Xcel Energy and the Wild will still work closely together to help grow the sport, they say, providing grants to youth and high school hockey organizations. Love that. But no, it won't be the Xcel Energy Center anymore. It's inconsequential, except for how we talk. But it's been a part of our lexicon for 25 years.
I'm all for the Spam Shack. That's what I think. Hormel needs to get on that, get the naming rights, and call it the Spam Shack.
What about the KQ Center?
Wouldn't you like to say I'm heading over to the Spam Shack?
Spam Shack? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something? Come on.
Spicy.
What else is of Minnesota? The Land O'Lakes. I'm just trying to think of good.
The Land O'Lakes Butter Bowl.
The Butter Bowl.
Yeah.
I like that. That was quick.
The stick. We're going over to the stick. The stick of butter. See where I'm going there?
Oh,
Bit of a stretch.
That's
Bit
nice.
of a stretch. Come on.
On that note, the USDA has approved the first clinical trial to test whether gene-edited pig livers can temporarily support people with sudden liver failure who are ineligible for human organ transplants. God, well, what did we say a whole bunch yesterday and the day before? Science!
I'm curious what makes one ineligible for a human transplant.
That I didn't see that in this story. But instead of receiving the new liver, though, the patients will be connected to an external device that filters their blood through a pig liver for 72 hours, hoping that will give your liver time to recover and regenerate, hopefully.
A dear friend of mine had a liver transplant in 2008, and he suffered for years and was on a waiting list. And he was right there towards the end, and he got the call, as it is like in a bad movie, 1 a.m. Hey, you have to get here within 2 hours.
Right now.
And he races to the hospital, and I was out of the country when it happened, and the last time I called this guy before leaving to go on tour, thinking I might never talk to him again. He was in that bad of shape.
Wow.
And a month later, when I spoke to him, he was like a different human being. I mean, instantly, his voice was back, his strength was back, his color was back.
Nice.
Anybody that's working on a way to keep people in need of transplants going longer, man, that is the Lord's work. Well done. Keep it up. Hooray for science.
Science and doctors are kind of cool, too, sort of.
Real cool. Real cool.
So, I don't know about you. I'm a big movie guy. I know you guys like movies. There's something cool about going back and seeing a flick from the past on the big screen, right? Mm-hmm. Watching them at home is one thing. Big screen, theater experience is special.
Sure.
Happy Gilmore 2 is coming to Netflix. That'll be on the small screen, unfortunately. They should do a pre-release or something like that, or maybe after it hits Netflix, put it in theaters. Anyway, July 25th is when that'll hit. As sort of a primer, the 1996 classics going back to the big screen.
Okay.
You can see Happy Gilmore April 27th and April 30th. So it's very soon, but also only 2 screenings. So you're going to have to get in on those. I have a feeling they're going to sell out.
Nice.
You said
just a couple screenings.
Great to see old movies on the screen. I immediately was like, like Godfather, Space Odyssey, 2001, and you're going right to Happy Gilmore. Which I'm just saying, where my brain is like, But then I realized, Happy Gilmore it's a classic in its own right. It's been around a long. That's now. 30.
Yeah.
I know. My dad's we in the family, we have a vintage car. 25 years means a classic. And so, 30 years, that thing's officially old at this point. Hey, we're finally starting to feel spring in its glory here in the Twin Cities. Not dropping below freezing is kind of nice. Warmer temps, though, in Minnesota means the return of mosquitoes. However, we have our own form of Batman protecting us from above. Mm-hmm. The big brown bat. They don't migrate. Apparently, we have 9 different types of bats here in Minnesota. A couple of them stick around. The big brown bat is one of them. They stick out winters just like we do. They find caves where they get the humidity and the warmth that they need just above freezing.
Okay. They
consume their body weight in insects, mostly mosquitoes, every night.
Nice.
All right?
Damn.
The winters must make them hungry. So they say approximately 1,500 mosquitoes are eaten by brown bats every night. So I think this was just an appreciation moment for the big brown bat, because without them, we probably have even more. I don't know about you, but you're going to see my red welts in the summer when I'm wearing shorts. I'm a feast.
I don't have an issue with mosquitoes as long as I'm with my wife. Because they all go to her.
They all go to her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For real.
I feel like I protect my family as well.
We are like the old commercial for off, where the arm goes in the mosquito tank before off and after off. That's me and her just generally hanging out. They're all on her. It's miserable for her, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
It is. But it's important to remember the stuff flying above us at dusk may not be birds, especially if they're performing some pretty awesome acrobatics. But don't be afraid, because they're there to protect you.
Big fan of the bat, generally speaking.
Oh, yeah.
The more you learn, the more you're like, these are awesome.
And the big brown bat actually is kind of cute. I mean, he's got a gnarly face with some fangs, but he's got some fuzz. Looks like a woolly bat is what he looks like.
You can't have enough bats or possums in your life. Possums take care of fleas like there's no tomorrow. Everything.
Yeah.
They're just
garbage. They're just garbage dumps.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some sports. Let's talk about one sport. Let's talk about one game. Last night, the Minnesota Wild clinched a playoff berth by tying the Anaheim Ducks with 20 seconds to go in the third period. A trip to the postseason in the balance. Joel Eriksson Ek showed up pretty big.
Half a minute to go. Eriksson Ek deflects it in. Around the board, Zuccarello intercepts, centers. Eriksson Ek scores!
There we go.
That's why you play all 60 minutes. 20 seconds on the clock, bang, we're going to OT. But the coolest part of the game is not the fact that Matt Boldy got an overtime winner. No, the coolest part happened right at the end of the third period. The teams all retreat, and Philip Gustafson goes up to Coach Hines and goes, hey, man, let's put the flower in for OT. What the hell? Yeah. Fleury comes out and tends the goal for the overtime, and had a couple of nice, he had the poke check. He had the sprawling 2-pad stack. Oh, yeah. It was classic stuff. And then with 20 seconds left in overtime, Boldy put in the winner. The team gets the win. They are in the postseason. But for the fans in attendance, including one Paul Fletcher, seeing Fleury out there must have been pretty great.
It was so cool to see. I'm in the suite because the company's got a suite. Yeah. I'm meeting some new people. I'm having a conversation. I'd like to be watching the game, but I'm having a conversation. Then I hear this murmur, this kind of takes over this energy takes over the bowl. Yeah. I turn around and look, and you see 29 skating to the net, and it was awesome. Once people figured it out, they're of course standing, clapping. It's been so. I said this before. It's been so fun as a hockey fan to have him here to finish his career. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Yeah. He's an outstanding human, and he's a ton of fun to watch.
That was absolutely
really
awesome.
Cool. It was really cool.
I don't know anything about Fleury's, about his personal preference for where he likes to use the restroom when he's out in public. He hasn't weighed in as far as I know about that. But for an awful lot of us, we struggle with something called the Mariko Aoki phenomenon, specifically bookstores, but it does branch out a little bit. You walk into a bookstore, and before you know it, you gotta drop a deuce. These things happen. Okay, discussing the Mariko Aoki phenomenon, named after a woman in Japan in 1985 who shared the fact that every time she walks into a bookstore, she's got to go poop.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Bookstores. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. If this rings a bell, if this charges a nerve somewhere in your body, let us know. Boy, oh boy, so many text messages have come flying in.
It's like the book says, everybody poops.
Everybody does poop. Here's one. It says, my friend's 20-year-old son, this isn't about where he poops, but this is about how. My friend's 20-year-old son has to poop naked. Started as a child.
What?
I have a 24-year-old son, and one of his closest friends, same thing.
Really?
The young lad, he's in his early 20s, and he has to remove all of his clothing before he can drop a deuce.
I imagine you haven't.
Is it because he's working so hard?
It's just lifelong. It's his thing. And this young man is a Wall Street banker now at 24 years old. And I asked, I've known him since he was a little kid. I go, what happens at work? He goes, I just don't do it at work. It's just all there is to it.
I imagine you haven't, but have you asked him why? Are there any theories as to why he feels the need to be naked?
It's the same thing. Just as a kid, it was just how he did it, and he could never really get past that. Here's a text from Tom. He said, this is just an excitement dump. I've known about this all my life. It's more about going somewhere that really excites you, places that you love to go. And we had a caller who called in, I think Diane, and she said thrift stores, bookstores, it's just a regular thing. She did sound very excited to discuss. Yeah, you get somewhere, you're excited, you love to go into a certain place, and then, here comes nature.
Yeah, but I've never heard the phrase, I'm so excited I could take a dump. It's weird to me, that part of it. I think there's more science behind it than just excitement. But
I guess it could be several Menards texters. A lot of people go to Menards and realize, bing, bang, boom, it's just got to come out. That might just be the excitement of all those power tools, man. Come on.
And it smells so good in there. The fertilizer and the fresh cut wood.
The lumber, yeah. I was just going to say the lumber.
What it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. And again, more and more greeting cards. People are texting in. We've got about a half dozen. If I'm looking at greeting cards, I have to go to the bathroom.
Do we suspect this is somehow tied to having, because I have a crappy sense of smell. Like, I can't smell anything. Do we suspect this is tied to smell? Fletcher, your kid who has to do this, are they a super smeller?
No, in fact, she's got allergies, so I'm guessing that her sniffer doesn't work that great.
Wow.
You know what? Maybe there is something tied to the excitement, because all the places you're talking about are things we get excited about. Yet we all grow up around tons of books at school, and I don't remember everybody having to go poop at once.
That's very true.
Maybe it's because we don't get excited at school.
Here's a text. I worked at a newspaper. Now I know why they had so many stalls in the restroom, almost one per employee. It must be. It's that dang paper, man. That's what it is. It's gotta be.
It's baffling.
Scott with some much needed information on the text line. Scott here, a possible connection between smelling and needing to poop. Smells are one of the most powerful memory triggers. There's something called hyperosmia. A heightened sense of smell can make individuals more sensitive to odors, which leads to nausea, vomiting, or other physiological responses, including a need to drop a deuce.
Huh.
Wow, the smells does it every time. Someone said cub every time. Cub foods every time. All right.
Here's another.
Fair enough. I mean, I mentioned this whole Mariko Aoki thing as just like a lark. Like, this is kind of weird and funny.
Right.
And as it turns out, it's so weird and funny that we all have to deal with it on some level. Shocking.
There's another hypothesis here. The psychological hypothesis, the effect arises from feelings of nervous tension in the face of all the information represented on the bookshelves, is supported by certain literary figures.
Wow.
It's just like, we've got excitement, we've got sense of smell, and we've got, nervous tension, I guess you could say.
Your brain's so overloaded, it's got to come out somewhere.
I guess. I mean, that's exactly right. Yeah. Hey, we want to say a hail and hearty good morning to St. Paul.
Oh yeah,
St. Paul, Minnesota.
It was a good place last night.
It sure was, man.
Oh my
awesome.
God, it was fun.
Good to have you with us, St. Paul. You know what to do with that. Hey, the 2025 Tee It Up Golf Card number 3, presented by Club Champion, is on sale right now. Golf 7 area courses and save over $200 while you do it. If you want some more information, want to go ahead and get that bad boy, text the word golf, GOLF, to 651-989-ROCK. Job interviews are at best always kind of not great. Even if you have a great job interview, you're still sitting there trying to impress somebody, and it can go awry at any time. A guy in Britain has shared some images from a recent job interview he conducted. It was a Zoom interview. This dude, he's working for a company called AI Apply. It's an app, and it uses artificial intelligence to help workers write cover letters, apply for jobs, and then secure interviews. Mm-hmm. But then to hire people to work for him, he has to conduct his own interviews like you might expect. He did a Zoom job interview with a young woman, and she put on a filter over her face. Like, you're zooming in, you're going to interview for a prospective position with a boss, and she put on a filter that made her face look like a breakfast plate. As in, her eyes look like the egg yolks, and her mouth was like coming in through toast. It's a bizarre thing. Yeah. But he shared a little bit of their conversation, and you can hear his surprise at just how out of touch this young Gen Z interviewee is.
Hi, Julia. Nice to meet you. I'm not sure if you know, but there's a bit of animation on your face.
Yeah, hey, I'm not feeling well today, so is it okay if I don't show my face?
I'm not sure we're going to be able to conduct the interview with this. It's not very professional. Is there any chance you could turn it off?
I can use a different one if you want. Is this better?
She went from breakfast foods to then it made her face look like a strawberry. Is this better? She said, I don't feel good today, so can we just conduct this interview with, as he said, animation on your face?
She did herself in there.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
There's no hope for the future when I see things like this. I immediately go, we're in such trouble.
I have no tolerance, no patience for this kind of stupidity.
Really?
Yeah, just. I don't want to degrade some place where she could go work by associating them with her.
Yeah.
But whatever the easiest job is in the world that pays you very little, just go do that and just stop thinking and stop doing just until you grow up.
I don't have a lot of experience with actual job interviews I mean, like, hey man, do you need another guy to make pizza? That's not really an interview. Like I had some of those back in the day, but now that I have 2 kids who are in their 20s and who are entering professional realms, I do say to them the simplest things, which are just get the easy stuff right. Like to my son, I'm like, shave. Just make sure you shave that morning. You don't have to necessarily brush your hair, but make sure it's not sticking up and weird. Make sure you don't have something in it, like, crumbs or pizza grease. Like, there's certain things. Put on a unworn shirt. Like, you don't. The bar is lowered so much over the last 30, 40 years.
You don't have
for
to wear
what's
a tie.
expected of you.
Yeah, you don't have to wear a tie and look perfect.
It's like air travel. Used to be you dressed up to get on a plane.
Right.
We don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
But that said, don't wear your swim trunks. There's still a line somewhere there. Unless you're on Spirit, of course, and then you're happy if someone's wearing trunks on Spirit. But
that's a maximum on Spirit, yeah.
Do you know if either of them have had to do any Zoom interviews, or are they still doing interviews in person?
They Connell's had a bunch of interviews lately, and they've all been in person, and they've all been
lucky.
And he's had he's really enjoyed it. He did have one. I'm sorry, he did have one Zoom. In the last couple of months, he's in LA. He's tracking down a job, and he did have one Zoom interview, and he said it was the quickest one. It's just something about it. I think after the last 5 years, especially the Zoom explosion of 20 and 21 because of COVID, I believe most people's patience for Zooms is very, very thin.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Did he wear scuba gear?
He did not.
No,
he did not.
Did he wear pants in the interview?
I don't know about that.
That's optional.
But mostly in person, and oddly enough, most of them they don't say come to the office. It's like, let's meet at a coffee shop or let's meet at a place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's much more comfortable like that. He's enjoyed it.
That's what it's designed for.
Yeah,
to make you.
And
make
he hasn't landed a job yet, but it's a process, and so far so good. But no Zooms there. If he were to tell me I was on a Zoom and I accidentally had a filter on, well, you know what? He would never tell me that if it happened. He would know enough to keep that one to himself.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened with that interview last Thursday? It was fine. See the Lakers score, Dad? I mean, that would immediately turn that off. My daughter she's not been doing any interviews lately. She's still in school till December, but yeah, she'll be out there next year. She also, they know when you make really dumb, stupid early 20s mistakes, give them a little time before you share them with me.
Yeah.
If you say I did this 3 months ago, I'm like, oh, really? If you say I did it yesterday, I'm like, what the hell were you thinking? They've learned my weird quirk, which is everyone's going to make mistakes. Tell me about it later. Let some water go under that bridge, and then let me see that your life hasn't been ruined by it, and then I'm fine with it. But when they come to me and go, you know what I did yesterday? I'm like, I don't think I want to hear this.
Yeah, just give it a little time to breathe, like wine. Pop the cork, let it sit there for a while, aerate, and then usually works best for me. I'm happy to say my job interview experience very, very light. Just that's what happens when you drop out of college and refuse to get a real job.
I guess
it's been working great for me. We're feeling Minnesota. What are the headlines, Paul?
More than 40 bars and restaurants across Minnesota, including well-known spots in the Twin Cities metro area. O'Donovan's Irish Pub and Bonchin Dinkytown there are other notables, are now banned from receiving liquor shipments after failing to pay or file taxes.
No.
Oops.
How does this happen? The Minnesota Department of Revenue's April 15 liquor posting list identifies businesses that are more than 10 days late on their tax obligations. Under state law, wholesalers, brewers, and distributors are prohibited from selling or delivering alcohol to any business on the list starting this Friday.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, if that's your main business, you might want to get that in line.
Especially if you're a pub, just figure out the liquor tax thing.
Oh, hey,
the hooch tax.
We forgot to pay some fees.
Yeah,
we can't play music starting tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, so that's problematic.
10 days seems really fast, though.
It does. But you know what? They know they're going to put the pinch on you, and you're when they say how high, when they say jump, you're going to say how high because you are in the business of serving alcohol.
That's right. You can't just rack up bitch fees.
That's exactly right.
Dozens of former United Airlines students sue the airline and its flight school, saying they have spent tens of thousands of tuition in tuition instead of on tuition, but there were not enough teachers or aircraft to properly train and graduate its students. The airline wouldn't comment on the lawsuit, but stands behind their training program.
This is United?
This is dicey. Yeah, that's United.
And
flight school. They're saying they're not getting what they need.
Wow. Okay.
That's problematic.
Yeah, that's
like something airlines should invest in.
It would seem like that.
Getting more pilots.
I'm sure that somebody at United Airlines is looking for work right now because somebody looked at them and said, how could you let this go public? Not how could you let it happen. How did you let this story get out? That's not a great kind of story.
Not only looking for pilots, but looking for well-trained pilots. I mean, In the airline business, it's sort of like paying your taxes on booze.
Yeah, you need to.
You should probably train some pilots.
I agree.
don't know. I love this. Just stumbled across this story. The universe is large and it contains multitudes, but that also contains me. That's the line echoing through the first full trailer for The Life of Chuck, Mike Flanagan's latest film starring Tom Hiddleston based on the Stephen King novella. The story unfolds in reverse, starting with Chuck's death and ending in his childhood. The Life of Chuck hits theaters June 6th, and it's already drawing comparisons to classics like Stand By Me and The Shawshank Redemption.
Wow.
That's high praise.
All right.
That last line is what put it on my radar.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, I'm instantly looking forward to I haven't seen the trailer yet. Gonna have to go watch it.
Yeah.
Time Magazine's most influential people of 2025 is out. I remember a time where you saw this and you looked at those people and you marveled at them. Mm-hmm. And now a lot of times it's an eye roll.
Okay.
But there are some decent ones on the list. Demi Moore is on one of the leaders. Google DeepMind founder and CEO Demis Hassabis is on the list. Serena Williams, Ed Sheeran, and Snoop Dogg.
Fair enough.
But Snoop is about as influential as they get.
I guarantee you, nobody was buying Snoop stock long term in the mid '90s.
No,
early '90s when he first hit the scene. If you had said, "Oh, by the way, 2025, he's still going to be on Time's most influential list," you would have raised some eyebrows with that assessment.
Well, and crossed over to my mom knows who he is.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? Full on household name. You want a couple of other notables?
Please.
For eye-rolling purposes? Although I really love Scarlett Johansson. She's on there. Adam Scott, which that surprises me.
And this is the most influential people?
Yeah. Adam Scott?
Okay.
I mean, Scarlett I can kind of see. Jalen Hurts? Really? I mean, good football player, but is he one of the most influential people of 2025? Adrian Brody, Lorne Michaels. I would say Lorne Michaels, probably more indirectly, but he has an impact on people.
Sure.
It's an interesting list.
That is an interesting list. I guess it's just basically by saying influential people, you're just looking at people and saying, are they at their highest point is this apex time? I mean, Adam Scott, Severance is a huge show on Apple TV, and he's the star and one of the executive producers. And so that makes sense to me. Lorne Michaels, if a butterfly flaps its wings, does a revolution take place in Bolivia? I don't know, whatever that thing is. But think about, but anybody Lorne Michaels deals with directly, there's a ripple effect. I mean, he's such an influential person in the world of comedy.
For sure.
For what it's worth, and has been for 50 years. I can kind of see that. For the most part, I think it's really just a whole bunch of publicists lobbying Time Magazine.
1,000%. There's a full list of 100 if you want to go check out Time Magazine. It's out now. That quote that you just rattled off, that one's from It's a Wonderful Life, right?
I don't know. I literally don't. I've never seen it. I'm the only person I know who's never seen It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
and now
really?
it's
so good, you'd love it.
No, now it's a streak. Now I can't break it. No, I've never watched it once in my life.
Streaks are meant to be broken, just like
I've never seen
Gretzky's record.
I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life, and I've never watched an episode of Friends.
That's fair. Friends,
ain't gonna do it.
Mic drop right there,
Just can't do it. I've seen clips. I've seen scenes. I know the characters.
Friends, I can roll.
Never watched a whole episode.
It's a Wonderful Life. I would say just don't even tell anybody and just go watch it for yourself. It's great.
I don't want to.
Love it.
Couldn't do it. It's an after effect from the fact that when I was a kid, I would refuse to watch anything in black and white. I was like, no, that's old. I wouldn't watch the first season of Gilligan. It was in black and white. When they came to color, fine, I'll be there with the castaways.
Okay.
So if I can find a color version of It's a Wonderful Life, you'll watch it now? No. Okay.
No, I don't care. I know the story. I know everything that happens. I've heard about it. You can't get away from it. I've just never taken the time. One sports story of note for your Wednesday morning. Last night at the XL Energy Center, the Minnesota Wild defeated the Ducks in overtime. A goal from Eriksson Ek with 20 seconds in the third period took it to overtime. And then with about 20 seconds on the OT clock, Matt Boldy did this.
Johansson in for Minnesota. Back to Boldy. He scores!
Excellent moment for the Wild. Now, before they went to OT, they already knew they were assured of a postseason berth. The point for drawing even in regulation put them into the postseason. And the Boldy game winner, it was just like a cherry on top. But it wasn't necessary, if you will. What was even cooler than that was in between the third period and overtime, Philip Gustafsson went over to the coaching staff and said, hey, you know what? we're in the postseason. We got to play some OT. Let's put Fleury in. Let's put the Flower back on the ice. And the crowd at the XL Energy Center got an unexpected treat to watch Fleury go in there and shut out the Ducks through the OT period. The game-winning goal comes, and Fleury skates off the ice, a conquering hero for probably the last time we'll see him on the ice. And, Paul, you were in the building last night, and I know it was just outstanding to be there.
You know what? It absolutely was. I'm dragging a little bit today, but it was 1,000% worth it to get to see him kind of have a swan song, if you will. And by the way, he gets credit for the win.
Yeah.
So he racked up another win.
Great.
Even though he played 8 minutes or whatever it is. Made some miraculous saves.
Yeah.
Kept them, legitimately kept them in a game. They probably should have won in regulation. They outshot, for most of the game, they were out shooting them 2-1.
Yeah.
I mean, they're outplaying them. In the third period, the Ducks started to get the better of it. But again, Flower not only gets to come in, have the swan song, but also save the day in certain respects. So it was a really cool moment to share with the 19,000.
Absolutely fantastic. Way to get yourselves into the postseason, fellas. Now let's go take the Golden Knights by the throats and shake the life out of them.
Yeah, you don't need to give me any other reason other than being a brand new team and being in an armpit of a town.
Yeah.
All the reasons to root against those guys.
Playoff hockey. I used to say this. By the way, I do enjoy myself some hockey, especially playoff. But even when I was go back 30, 40 years when hockey was something other people cared about, even then I was like, yeah, but boy, those playoffs are incredible. I mean, it truly is. And because I'm a basketball fanatic, and of course the two seasons run concurrently, hockey, NBA, NHL, it's always side by side, neck and neck. Postseason starts the same time. It's, blah, blah, blah. And for years, I would be like, nope, I'm all about hoops. And then I would have to concede to my hockey-loving friends. No, okay, yeah, you got it. You win the postseason. Fair enough. As much as I love hoops, that just nothing compares.
Think about this, to put it in perspective, and you don't really need to say this in the state of hockey, but we'll say it anyway. For most of our lives, an NFL schedule is 16 games.
Yep.
You have to win 16 games just in the NHL playoffs alone to win the Stanley Cup.
Sure.
That's win, not play, win.
Right.
Yeah, it's grueling. It's the stories of injuries you've heard guys play through because it's the cup, as they say.
That's what it is.
Just can't.
That's how it works.
You can't beat it.
Ham Lake, glad to have you with us this morning. How about a little shout out to Ham Lake?
I've drag raced in Ham Lake.
Those are some, really?
Oh, yeah. Classic cars, baby.
Drag racing in Ham Lake.
Oh, yeah. Ham Lake and Blaine. Back in the day when I was a kid, Ham Lake was very underdeveloped.
Okay.
Lots of quiet, dark, lit, but dark, quiet streets that you could just line up muscle cars.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have your own muscle car?
70 Chevelle. Still have it.
That's nice.
You're burying the lead. Why didn't I know that a month ago?
I don't know.
Dude.
Well, we haven't talked about it. There's probably going to be a lot of stuff that we learn about each other.
70 Chevelle, and you still have that car.
SS396, forest green with white stripes, green interior.
Oh, now he's just flexing.
That's
Look
true.
at him. Yeah. That's such a...
But see, I love Germans now. But but still, this thing's, it's special.
You love Germans now?
German cars.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. I thought maybe I
car nerd.
Nothing
super
better
nerd.
than imagining a German
Dude,
guy
I went to
the 70 Chevelles, the muscle cars are so powerful and badass. I love them.
You see?
The way they screech when you pump the gas, it makes my Teutonic blood boil.
Ryder, he claims himself that he's not great at these accents, but he can pull out something from. We should start playing a game where we roll a wheel and it comes up with an accent from somewhere in the world, and he's got to do it.
I don't know. It's got to be in the moment.
Yeah, but we could make the moment by spinning the wheel and say, "All right, do this accent."
There's only one thing that could make this moment more fun, and that's to discuss the hot new sport out there. No, not muscle cars, sperm racing.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the morning on Minnesota's 92 KQRS. I mentioned moments ago the fun new sport that's taking over the planet. I wasn't kidding. Sperm racing.
This is a real thing.
That's exactly right. Sperm racing. It's a startup recently announced the launch of the first live sperm race ever. You can watch it. So here's the deal. A startup which is known as Sperm Racing, they raised $1 million in support of their efforts to put on the world's first sperm race.
Time out.
Yes.
There's a startup that raised $1 million for sperm racing. I just wanted to say that again.
Yeah, it's just four dudes got together They listed a sperm racing manifesto. They cite the worldwide decline in male fertility as the impetus for this idea.
Sure.
Which is that's real.
Yeah.
There's a worldwide decline in male fertility, and they're like, we got to figure something else out. They're saying if you can train for sports, perfecting your form and pushing your body to the limits, why can't you train for your health too? And here's how this is going to work. A microscopic racetrack for 2 sperm samples is going to be constructed. The course will mimic reproductive system and includes chemical signals, fluid dynamics, and synchronized starts. And every move that sperm makes is tracked by high-resolution cameras and live streamed. There will be stats, leaderboards, and yes, instant replays. I'm not making. I couldn't make this up if I tried.
I wonder if sperm will learn how to draft like a Formula One car does.
My first and only thought on this is just get some high school juniors. You want to see some hardy sperm that's going to go real fast. I'm just thinking, get the youngsters, get the young men who have just come into their own reproductive apex, if you will.
They realize
just the
that this
excitement,
happens.
the level, the adrenaline of a youngster's. I'm assuming this is not scientifically backed. I'm assuming younger sperm goes a little faster than older sperm.
Well, that's why we need to have the races
to find that out.
Find out the answers to this.
I guess we do.
These are things we have to know. It's 2025. We've got to know this kind of stuff. We can't sleep another night until we find out who's got the fastest sperm.
I know one thing. There will be an off-track betting site. There will be a place in London taking action on this race. Because in England, they bet on literally everything. You can get odds on how long will it take me to flush my to brush my teeth tomorrow morning, and someone will be like, let me take a look at them teeth. I bet it's 40 seconds at least, isn't it? And then you can get a bet. They bet on everything in England. Seriously, the off-track betting sites all throughout the whole country. They're never not full of people.
I didn't know that about them.
Oh my God, they do. They
love
do.
to gamble.
They love a lot of things. God knows they love their soccer. They love their Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they love wagering on both of the above.
I like soccer. I like Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I love to gamble. I might be British.
I think during the Arsenal Real Madrid game today, I'm going to eat 16 pieces of chicken. Could I get odds on that?
During the game?
Even. I'll give you even odds on it. Yeah. Oh, what's the point if it's even then? And then it just goes on, and then they forget to watch the game because then they get drunk. That's the fun about being English. You just forget to do. You get to do most things eventually, but you forget a lot because you're drunk all the time. In my experience.
The beautiful thing for me sitting here right now is I'm not even listening to what you're saying. I'm just listening to the regional dialect in your accents. It's
listen,
fascinating.
I did just remind myself that, but that's real. Arsenal Real Madrid at 2 p.m. today. I'll be at the local if anyone wants to come out and watch a little footy with me.
Okay.
Noted.
Oh, believe me. Yeah, the MSP Gooners show up strong for the matches.
Where are we along that? Is this Champions League?
Champions League.
Where are we at?
Quarterfinal. Arsenal's got a 3-goal aggregate up on Real Madrid. Real Madrid has to win by 4 goals to advance.
Are my Reds still alive?
We don't need to talk about it. Not in the Champions League.
No, they're not?
No, sir.
Oh, that's sad.
But they what do you mean your Reds?
I'm a Liverpool guy.
Why?
I don't. If I tell you the real story, it's going to bring everything down. Because of the Hillsborough tragedy.
You know what?
I've been drawn to them ever since.
Stop. You say, if I tell you, it'll bring us down. And then you tell us.
Okay, sorry. I thought you wanted me to.
No, I don't. Okay. I don't want to hear about that. I was worried you were going to go there.
Yeah.
All right, next we'll talk about the 97 fans that were killed. No, we won't. I'm kidding, of course.
No, we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that.
The anniversary was just a couple days ago.
I should have been a Liverpool fan, actually, because I grew up such a Beatles fanatic. It's odd that I didn't. Okay, here we go. I'm just go ahead and drop a name. I'm talking to Ringo Starr once, and I said, so, Ringo, you of the Beatles, what was it like in the mid-'60s? You're the biggest band that has ever been. You're at the height of Beatles popularity, 1966. Not only is Liverpool running away with titles, but England hosts and wins the World Cup. Like the summer of 66 in London, you guys release Revolver, the greatest album ever recorded up to that moment. Sure. And then England wins the World Cup at home. I mean, it must have been. He looked at me and goes, I never paid attention to football. Couldn't have cared less. I'm like, what? He goes, we didn't. Never cared. And I'm like, you never
You're
cared.
The one. So you're the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, really?
You're the one guy, gal in the UK that doesn't care.
No, it made sense. He said, no, we really didn't pay attention. And why would they? Because they were the Beatles. Like,
the Beatles.
It all checks out. It all checks out. The funny thing about the Beatles is they were the Beatles, and whatever they say, it's like, oh, well, yeah, of course they were in the Beatles. They're the only band that gets away with literally anything. Just whatever. I don't care about football. I'm still loved in England because I was in the Beatles. That's it. Anything ever happened to you? Did you ever have a story that, generally speaking, anytime you tell it, the first reaction from whoever you're telling it to is, no way, that did not happen. That never happened. Anything completely inexplicable or just so bizarre or so coincidental that people say, no way?
As soon as you give me an example, I'm sure I'll think of like 10 of them.
I mean, there's a few. Yeah. Okay, like the coincidence, the no way, how weird is this? I stepped into an elevator at a hotel in Richmond, Virginia in 1996. And it went down one floor and it opened and my brother was standing there and he stepped into the same elevator. Neither one of us lived in that town and we had no idea each other was in town, much less in the same hotel, getting on the elevator at the same time.
That is insane.
No way.
Yeah, see? I mean, it's just like, you think about these things. What are the chances? Yeah. We should have spent a night at the same Marriott in Richmond and never known, because who would ever say to someone, hey, were you ever at the Richmond Marriott? Yeah, last November. So was I. I mean, it just would have never come up.
Right.
How often do things like that happen? The other one I always got, I borrowed my roommate's umbrella once when I was in college. He had this really nice, like, fancy umbrella for some reason. I mean, it must have been like a family relic or something. But I was going out and it was raining. I said, can I use your umbrella? And he literally said, no, you'll mess it up. And I go, how would I mess up an umbrella? And he goes, I don't know. It's like, just don't. And he goes, okay, but seriously, just be careful with it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And I returned 3 hours later and it was bent in half and destroyed. But with good reason. I found myself in the middle of a police chase where I actually apprehended the suspect. Before I tackled a guy into a mud puddle, I smashed him over the head with my roommate's umbrella. True story. And he was arrested and handcuffed, and it was a bizarre. There's a whole longer version, but that actually happened. And my roommate never believed me. He said from day one, that never happened. I go, look at me. I'm covered in mud. Your umbrella's destroyed. I told him the whole story, and he refused to ever believe me. And then I got a little certificate from the police department thanking me.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Just like Dwight Schrute in The Office.
Yeah, okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
But that story never failed to get people to go, you're making that up. And
this isn't just a giant cover for the fact that you don't know how to use an umbrella properly?
Yeah, that's what he thought it was.
You were reckless and irresponsible. You didn't actually use it to defend somebody or to get the bad guy.
Yeah, I got a bad guy. And I was, of course, really excited because I thought, oh, my God, we're chasing an escaped murderer. No, it was credit card fraud. Hardly blue ribbon level crime busting that I was involved in. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. What's your story that people just genuinely will not believe no matter how many times you tell them? Yes, Paul?
I've got one that we'll share.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
is that a fact?
Yeah,
all right.
For
sure. We're discussing stories that you have where people will forever go, no way. A couple of good texts already. The day I adopted my son, there was a child's license plate on the ground. The name on the license was Becky, his birth mother's name. Also my name, by the way. Huh.
That's insane.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's no way.
There's a bunch of these, and this is a good one to hang on to, but you said you had something you wanted to share with me.
Yeah, kind of like yours, stopping crime. We're driving home from a movie. My wife and I very rarely get to go out on a late date. On 94 between St. Michael and Albertville, the exits, we see a car. I mean, not playing bumper pool in the lane. I mean, cross lanes.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And it went on for long enough that I felt compelled. I've never done this before, but it went on long enough and it was dangerous enough I called 911. And the 911 dispatcher basically said, all right, talk me through this. I've got a sheriff who's going to come and intervene. At some point, they stopped on this. If you've ever been out to the outlet malls in Albertville, people understand what this exit looks like. It's really long.
Sure.
They stopped. Just came to a complete stop. Me and another car clogged up the lanes, put on our hazards. They pick up speed again. We follow them, and I'm here. I am telling the dispatch person exactly where we're going.
Right.
And then soon enough, I can see the headlights coming flying behind us. Cherries on. Take a left. I watched them pull them over. I'll tell you, it was while it was an incredibly surreal experience and definitely poignant, I guess. It was also, we also felt really good. We're like,
Sure.
we went and parked across the street and watched the process because we're like, we felt so accomplished, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes duty calls when you least expect it.
Hopefully we saved that person's life and potentially others. I mean, who knows?
Of course.
Anyway. So
I mentioned the coincidental, my brother and I were in the same hotel in the same city at the same time and got on the same elevator, and how bizarre that was. This text came in. I was at the Pink Floyd concert at the Metrodome. As I got closer to the doors, I heard someone yell my maiden name, which is very unique.
Wow.
It was my older brother. We were in the same section 3 rows apart.
What?
I mean, which back in the day when you had to wait for tickets and you blah 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 blah, that would be pretty good. That would definitely fit in on that list for sure. Hey, tomorrow on this very show, Jesse Pierce is going to be with us to preview the Wild playoff series.
Hell of a writer.
Great writer, and she's awesome.
She knows the game.
We're going to play a little game we call Rank You Very Much, which is an awful lot of fun. But for now, right now, I'm going to take Chauncey for a walk. Okay. Ryder's going to go drink some PBRs. And Fletcher is going to carry on rocking it out on Minnesota's 92. Yes?
No, I was going to tell you. Oh, wait. Midday, we've got 12:30. Listen for the text keyword for Stevie Nicks tickets.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll mix that in with the rock and roll.
Didn't want to bury that one in.
Nope.
This is Minnesota's 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the morning is also Gorman on the go. Get the 92 KQRS app and stream live or catch the Gorman in the morning podcast anytime. 92 KQRS.